It's pretty easy to see how fast the hair grows on my face. You can't even really see it in this type of weird, whatever, sepia, old-timey thing. But I just watched, this was the other night, I wasn't able to sleep. Well, I was sleeping constantly, but when I wasn't, when I'd get up and be aching all over. I saw this thing on National Geographic Explorer where they actually take apart a 500-year-old altar with the supposed remains of Chrysanthus and Daria, two martyrs in Rome in the late 3rd century. It's when persecution was going on. And people speculate, oh, well, persecution probably wasn't that bad. No, it got real bad at the end. Before Constantine, it was at its height. I mean, there were lulls where Christians weren't actively sought out, but there were, you couldn't go out in public and just start preaching, and that's what they did. That Chrysanthus was studying, and he came across this text, and it was a Christian text. So he sought out the Christians, became a Christian, was baptized. So they, so his father got the most beautiful of the Vestal virgins to come and try to, because they'd be virgins for so long, and then they'd wind up getting married, to basically try to seduce them over to the old side. And she was really intelligent and smart and articulate, too. And it backfired. She wound up becoming a Christian. And they both wound up taking vows of celibacy and got married. And he baptized her. And they couldn't find the skulls. And the skulls were actually in these busts, these metal things of them, and lo and behold, they're inside. So they found them, and they the bones were of, the female was the right age, bearing no marks of hard labor or anything like that. The male was of the right age. He was young, a little bit younger than her. About 17, 18. I believe she was a little bit older, not by much. I think in her 20s or something like that. And they were looking for, they're looking through the accounts. One account was that he was beheaded. Another one was that they were stoned to death. But the earliest is that they were bricked up, buried alive. And of course, as the stories go on, you get more elaborate things, especially with Roman stuff. Well, they did find sand in the cavities and everything. This could be, and they were looking for, they're trying to go through the catacombs. A lot of the catacombs are now collapsed. But the strange thing is, everything matches up with the radiocarbon dating. I was waiting because I was like, oh, what's it going to be? Because I always took these early stories, and you have bones that are sold, that, no, they're not. It's not right. That can't be. And I've always held that view. I've always held a very skeptical view of relics. And a very harsh view of celibacy. But the carbon dating came back, and it was between... They were supposed to have been martyred in like 298 or something like that. Came back between the year 80 and the year 300. So the radiocarbon dating confirmed it too. Of these martyred saints. And this is early enough that they're probably recognized in the Eastern Orthodox Church too. They might have Grecian names or something like that, or Arabized names, or what I guess Hellenized would be, even though it's, they'd have Hellenized names or Arabized or whatever names in the Eastern Church. Or sometimes there's a Slavonic influence on the name, depending on how the story was carried across or down or over or whatever. But yeah, Rome had a rich tradition of martyrs and was a stronghold of Christianity for a long time. We must remember that it wasn't speaking against Rome. Not all the popes were bad. People who had Pope Stephen I, the Greek, went after the Donatists. Great man, very compassionate. I believe Boniface of Rome, I don't think he was a pope. He was still active in sin when he died as a martyr. He wasn't perfect. That was one thing that when they were doing the readings before the services of Vespers about the saints, about the martyrs, I was shocked because he was still struggling with his passions, and he was till the day he died. I thought that was such a human thing, because the church had always liked to emphasize chastity or purity or all these things. And I believe all this stuff, it was in contrast to Rome, because they dig up Pompeii and Herculaneum. These were sex cities, and so was Corinth, and so was all these other. They were the Vestal virgins because virginity was extremely. They worshipped phalluses. It was. Some of these things were pretty. In the museum at Corinth, they actually have a wall, so you have to be a certain height to actually see over and look at what the frescoes were. But yeah, the sex in the ancient world, especially this ritualistic sex and all the prostitution, temple prostitution, this is all tied to paganism. So the Christians were departing from that world. Now, is that a constant across Christianity? No. Christianity values families, and the church values families. Does that mean they're going back on? No. People, even married people, are still considered chaste if they're not sexually immoral. They still hold chastity. It's not celibacy. And I realize you say, oh, but that means, this and that. And I realize the English terms are problematic. Yeah, if you're married and you're not going out with your husband and wife and, banging a bunch of dudes and women or polysexual and polyamorous and bestiality. If you're a married couple, and what you do, this is one thing about the Orthodox Church, which cannot be said about the Puritan branches of Christianity, or even Roman Catholicism in some of its wackier times. Doesn't comment on in the bedroom of how you do what you do, which I think is fantastic. But maybe that's a little bit too much insight into me. No, but I think it's amazing that it confirmed that these were the relics. It came as close as you possibly can. There's nothing to doubt. They have a paper trail going back to 946. But then it ends. And so, well, there's nothing before then. Doesn't mean there's nothing before then. Just, countless fires, and not to mention paper, paper breaks down. Oldest copy of Caesar's commentaries we have are from the 14th century or 1400s. I might be mixing that up. But yeah, and also, I mean, I see this library that's in this church in Rome of all these ancient documents and manuscripts and books and codices, and it's like, they probably even photocopy every single. If that would run up in fire, we'll probably lose a treasure. And it's like when the Library of Alexandria got torched under Pompey. He was pissed. He did not want to have that destroyed. Of course, it was rebuilt. It was destroyed multiple other times. But that's going in a different matter. I mean, I could go on, because in Alexandria, when a ship would come into port, they would search for any documents, copy them down, and then give them back to the people, because they wanted to have all the writings. But, so you could see why the paper trail would end. But it's as close to confirming it as you can be. Now, again, I might get silly comments on there is no God or this, that. This, again, no bearing on what I'm talking about. Alright, just wanted to comment on that. Peace to you, may God save Serbia and Syria. Take it easy. If there's if there's questions that I didn't answer or something, just resend them to me in a PM. If you put them on a comment, I get people who spam me all the time, so I might not get it, but just send me just send me a PM, a message. Alright, take it easy. Peace to you. Please pray for all the people who are sick and dying, and those who have died, and the family members of those people who are close to them, and all the people persecuted across the world. May God save Serbia and Syria. Weren't actively sought out, but there were, you couldn't go out in public and just start preaching, and that's what they did. That Chrysanthus was studying, and he came across this text, and it was a Christian text, so he sought out the Christians, became a Christian, was baptized. So they so his father got the most beautiful of the Vestal virgins to come and try to, because they'd be virgins for so long, and then they'd wind up getting married, to basically try to seduce them over to the old side. And she was really intelligent and smart and articulate too. And it backfired. It's pretty easy to see how fast the hair grows on my face. You can't even really see it in this type of weird, whatever, sepia, old-timey thing. But I just watched, this was the other night, I wasn't able to sleep. Well, I was sleeping constantly, but when I'd get up and be aching all over. I saw this thing on National Geographic Explorer where they actually take apart a 500-year-old altar with the supposed remains of Chrysanthus and Daria, two martyrs in Rome in the late 3rd century. This when persecution was going on. And people speculate, oh, well, persecution probably wasn't that bad. No, it got real bad at the end. Before Constantine, it was at its height. I mean, there were lulls where Christians